Hey, what's going on? Good morning, everybody. It's a little after 6 in the morning, and I just popped out of the Queen Circuit MRT station. I'm walking towards, where is it? Benjikitty Park. I always mix up my Benjikitty and Benjasiri. I'm going to do a little 2-year review. I've been here longer than 2 years. I forgot to do it. I realized I did a 1-year review. So let's take a look back at maybe some of the mistakes I made and some of the things I would have did different. But overall, I'm loving living in Bangkok, Thailand. So let's walk towards the park. If you see off in the distance the kind of goldish pointy building, I want to say that's the Center Point Hotel. I know it's the hotel that's attached to Terminal 21. That's where you'll find the Sukhumvit MRT, as well as the junction to the Asok BTS. Off in this direction is where I live, Phrom Phong. And those are the beautiful 4 Millennium Towers, I believe they're called, with the helo pads on top. Again, I've never seen a helo. For such a large city, you think, with traffic problems, you'd think there'd be helos everywhere, say Sao Paulo, Brazil style, but not so much. Every now and then I'll hear one roaring by, and it's an everyday sound to me. I used to live under the flight path of North Island Naval Air Station. It was all helicopters, so I like it. So I'm going to go over a couple of issues in no particular order, no script, just kind of out for a walk and rambling on with my thoughts. But I have been here a couple of years, and I'll go over some things I did correct and some mistakes I made, maybe some things that turned out different at the living here 2-year mark compared to 1 year, or compared to not living here at all. There's certainly things that didn't really catch me off guard, but I found a little unusual. So let's take a walk and go over a few of those. Now, I know everybody's situation is different. Mine, I love Thailand. Now, I've traveled all over the world, and this is where I always returned. I don't know how many trips I made here just because I love it. 6 maybe, 6, 7. Not only to prepare to move over here, but just because I enjoyed coming. And in between, like many people watching my channel and many other YouTube channels, you're preparing for your move and trying to get a handle on the latest rules and visa rules and just different things like that. I'm gonna say a mistake I made before I moved over here, and I probably realized it at the 1-year mark, but definitely living here 2 years, you have to be a little careful on being too prepared. There is just so much information online, and 80% of it, maybe more, are from people that just have no idea what's happening. It's a total rumor mill. I try to kind of stay away from that. I won't jump online and say, hey, starting next Monday, you're going to get 60 days when you enter the Kingdom of Thailand and all. That didn't happen. I mean, they made that announcement. It's maybe happened by the time this video came out, but they made that announcement, I want to say, May 30th, that starting next Monday, on June 1st, 3 days later, whatever the case might be, you're going to get 60 days. I took a let's wait and see approach, and I had even put out a video, just coincidentally, before they even made that announcement, saying, well, when you arrive, you get 30 days, then you can extend for 30 days or get a 60-day tourist visa in your home country. And I got 2 comments from probably guys that are good-hearted, but they're over-preparing. And they're saying, well, obviously you're not up on the latest news. You're putting out bad information. As of Monday, you get 60 days. Well, Monday came and went. Nothing happened. Big surprise. Another month went by, and now we're at the end of June, I think. No, it went all the way into July. And they said on a Friday afternoon at 1 p.m., okay, starting Monday, you are going to get 60 days. It just needs to go in front of XYZ board. They sign off on it. Then it needs to be entered in the Royal Gazette, and it will be law. Okay, is that possible? That could be done in 3 hours before close of business on Friday? Maybe. Did it happen? No, it didn't happen. I think another week later, they finally said, okay, whatever it is, July 18th, this seems to be the date. You just have to be a little careful. I remember the Facebook warriors. There's different Facebook pages out there that I am not a fan of. It's just a lot of arguing and a lot of know-it-alls, and people, they can't wait to call you stupid when you ask a simple question. Not that I asked a lot of questions and I'm put off by that. I just don't like, reading the snarky comments, and that's what a lot of it is. Not everybody. There's some good people on there, but there's enough clowns on there where I would just read it with caution, and I would be very careful on the questions I asked, unless you want to get slapped around a little. But bottom line is, be careful with the rumor mill. There's something called the Royal Gazette over here. Most things, I don't know if that 60-day has to be entered in the Royal Gazette. I believe they said it did. But just stand by, kind of take a wait and see approach. Don't overplan. Don't, okay, they said it's going to happen 2 hours from now, that they're going to change the law, so I'm going to jump on a plane immediately. You're probably going to be in for a disappointment. Now, don't get me wrong. Where I'm from in the United States, it takes, 3 years to get anything done, and then somebody can come in and just change everything that just happened. Over here, things happen, rules changes, that kind of thing, like a light switch. But they also go in the other direction. The same, I don't want to get into the whole medicinal hippie lettuce, but that went from being a real problem, being, caught with even a small amount, to totally legal, and it kind of seems like people are just walking down the street smoking, back to, it looks like at the end of the year we're going medicinal and there's going to be a bunch of changes. Again, people are making all kinds of comments out online about things they have no idea whether they're going to happen or not, but they just kind of pretend to be an expert. I am not doing that at all. I'm throwing out all the information, and I'm taking a wait-and-see attitude. Personally, do I think they're going to be able to get that genie back in the bottle anytime soon? I don't know. It'd be difficult, but let's wait and see. Right now, they've made some announcement that towards the end of the year, things are going to change. So that's what you're going to read with the Facebook warriors. Now, other things did happen really fast. Now, I don't have one, the Thai Elite visa. I think they made an announcement, hey, we're raising the price in 2 weeks or something like that. And I don't know. I know my buddy had one. I think it was advantageous to do 2 5 years instead of 110. You got some free rides from the airport or something. So he did just that. And they basically put out the word, you got 2 weeks to pay for the next 5 years at XYZ price, or, it's going up drastically. And that did happen. So things can happen in 2 weeks. Now, with all that being said, of course, you want to keep an eye on the latest, I'll call it gossip, or, proposed changes. I like Khao Sod English, just like Khao San Road, except SOD. Khao Sod English. He seems to be, I assume it's a guy, a pretty reliable news source. I also like Tim Newton. I think it's Newton on YouTube. He takes a wait-and-see attitude, but he'll always give you the latest news. Patty Amail also seems to be pretty good. Just be careful with the Reddit and Facebook groups. And again, I don't 100% mean to put down Facebook or Reddit. There are, let's call it 80% of good people on there and decent information, but there's 20% of clowns. Yeah, here's a little monitor lizard hanging out, and that's actually a smaller one. If you want to see the huge ones, head over to Lumpini Park early in the morning. I went looking for them in the afternoon. I saw one. I went one time at 6 in the morning. I must have saw 75. Now, at the 2-year mark, this is a mistake I made personal to myself. Maybe it won't be a mistake for you. But again, I over-prepared, did my trips. Back then, it was all about En Route. The train, the light green Sukhumvit line anyhow, went between En Route and Mochit. It now goes, 20 stops on either end, more. But back then, En Route was the big hot spot to get a little bit away from the city, save a ton of money, on and on and on. It was En Route, En Route, En Route. So I had it stuck in my head. These guys know what they're talking about. Let me go take a hard look at this En Route, and I'm going to be on a pension and, a budget. I don't need to live in the heart of a sulk and spend 3 times as much money. Now, you can easily spend 10 times as much money in a sulk as on Newt. I mean, you can spend anything you want in a sulk. I mean, it's the Beverly Hills of Bangkok. I mean, it can be. But there are also affordable options. Today, I'm in Phrom Phong, which is 1 train stop away from On Nut. And to be quite honest, I'm much happier living in this part of town when I lived in On Nut, and I was in a big hurry to lock myself into a 1-year lease. It was fine. I love On Nut. There's nothing wrong with On Nut, but I found myself down here in Phrom Phong in a sulk, and I guess call it the more touristy expat area, 5 days a week, if not every day at times. So now that I've lived down here in Phrom Phong for over a year, yeah, I kind of wish I may have came over and spent a month living up in On Nut, and then realized, hey, for call it $200 more a month, I can live down in the section of town I seem to be hanging out in more. So I guess the mistake I made was over planning. 100% I had to live in On Nut because everybody online told me so. So come on over. I get it, immigration wise and all, but I'm sure you can work something out if it's 30-day Airbnbs or 30-day serviced apartment stays, whichever it is, to get the appropriate TM30, the reporting form for where you're living to take to immigration. That was a big concern of mine, was hurry up, sign a lease, get the TM30, rush off to immigration, boom, boom, boom. I need to get all this done in 3 days, and I did. I mean, well, maybe not 3, but I got it all done within 8 or 9 days. That probably wasn't the greatest idea. Take a step back. I get it. If you're an overplanner like I am, like maybe many people are, you don't want to just kind of wing it, especially moving to the other side of the world, but that might not be the worst information or the worst advice. Just come on over, take it easy, catch your breath, live here for 30 days, maybe move over to the Asok area for 30 days, move over to the other side of the river, I don't care, Thonburi for 30 days, and then lock in that 1-year lease. And that advice might even apply to move into Pattaya. Or I know a lot of people, well, no, I visited Pattaya, that's absolutely where I want to live. Okay, that is a party area. I don't want to say it that way, but there's a lot of partying going on there. I mean, sure, there's other things to do, but you might want to move over there for 30 or 60 days before you lock down that 12-month lease. So I guess that's a mistake I made. I'd probably do it another way. Certainly if a good friend of mine moved over here and he said something along the lines of, hey, give me an apartment in your condo building, I wouldn't do it. I would get him a condo for a month and then let him figure out if this is exactly where he wants to be. But there's just no sense in making a hurried decision. Come on over here. There's no shortage of apartments. There's certainly 50 neighborhoods to choose from, and find out what works for you. There's cities, Chiang Mai, Hua Hin, Rayong. I mean, go check it out. Maybe Bangkok and the big city sounds like a good idea, but it's going to drive you crazy. Myself, I love it. Now, as I'm looking at the Med Park Hospital right behind the convention center, and again, I'm just winging this brings up an idea. I have Blue Cross Federal Insurance. I'm an old mailman, so my federal insurance it's probably the same insurance that the Marines working at the U.S. Embassy. By the way, just over there is the U.S. Embassy, where you see the cranes on top of the towers to the right. I always forget the name of that complex. I want to say it's the One Bangkok facility, and that is going to be the tallest building in Bangkok. Well, that's on Wireless Road. If you go right over here on Wireless, you'll be at Lumpini Park, and right about there on Wireless, you're at the U.S. Embassy and the U.S. Ambassador's residence. No, but what I was meaning to say, it sounds, and it is, like a good idea to have your U.S. health insurance working over here in Thailand. Again, I know I'm a small minority, but other people are going to have to come over and figure out what kind of Thai policy to buy, even if it's just a catastrophic policy. I'm no expert on this. I'm 99% sure that Medicare does not work over here. Maybe in an emergency it will, but it's not going to be the solution for living here. So you'll have to sort that out. But being in a larger city, Bangkok, I mean, standing in this park, there are 5 or 6 world-class facilities within 1 mile of this park. I go to Bumrungrad. Some say that's one of the better hospitals in Southeast Asia, but that Med Park, I've also heard very, very good things about it. So be careful when you are making your decision to move to the middle of the country in Thailand. Health concerns and that hospital being 100 miles away might be a consideration. Now, I come from San Diego, and that is just the land of perfect weather. So adjusting to the heat and rain of Bangkok was a concern of mine, of Thailand in general. And it just really hasn't been an issue. Every now and then, maybe once a month, I'll get a comment. Hey, I'm in a similar situation. I'm from Los Angeles, and I'd really like to move over there, but I'm super concerned about the heat and humidity. Yeah, it's here, but unless you're outside putting on roofs or, in my case, carrying mail, it's really not that big a deal. I'm not saying pop out of bed like I did today at 5:30 every morning, although that's a pretty good choice. You can see there are tons of people running around the park. I'm sure if I came out here at 12 noon, there might be one knucklehead, running around, and he's kind of enjoying the sweat. But for the most part, this park will come alive at 9 o'clock tonight. Well, 6 o'clock till 10 p.m. it probably closes. It will be packed. So you're just going to have to make adjustments on the weather, but that is certainly not a reason to not come over. Again, if you're super, how do I put it, afraid of the weather, maybe plan on coming over for a month, and don't do it at Christmas time. That's the best weather of the year. Come in April. That's the hottest month of the year. Come in August. That's one of the rainiest months of the year. And then see if you can handle rain every day from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. It's just not that big a deal. Now myself, I did a pretty good job going on past 2 years here of adjusting into retirement. I will say, if you're still working and you have a retirement date a year from now, and then the next day you're moving over to Thailand, you need to plan your retirement. As silly as that might sound, having just unlimited time, you have to be careful. I mean, do what you want to do, but coming over here and moving straight to Pattaya, I'm retired and now I'm just going to party every night. I guess you can do that, and I did that to a small degree. Don't get me wrong, I still go out and enjoy drinks and new restaurants 3-4 times a week, if not more. But I'm not out just getting hammered and waking up hungover every day. That's really no way to live. I mean, I have my little YouTube channel here that keeps me busy. So do what you're gonna do. If it's making videos or taking up golf lessons, there's all kinds of driving ranges around town and country clubs within 10 miles. I mean, this might be a fun place to take up a new hobby like golf. But you need to have a plan, is what I'm getting at. Now, it's not a major mistake, but at the 2-year mark, I brought way too many clothes. I saved all my miles and points, and I came over Japan first class. They allowed me some crazy amount of luggage, so what did I bring? 4 huge suitcases. Again, I wouldn't recommend that. It was just kind of a one-off. I brought a suitcase full of dive gear and fins and wetsuits and on, everything I could have got over here. Maybe I'd pay a little bit more, but I had it, and I had another free suitcase, so why not? But I probably brought 5 pair of jeans. I went down and bought 2 brand new pair. Now, it's true, whatever pair of Levi's you like, they're gonna cost more over here, and if you're a super tall guy or you have some kind of weird size, it might be near impossible, even paying whatever it is, $80 a pair. I'm making these numbers up. And I probably got 2 pair for $80 at some kind of discount sale, on President's Day in the US. But I brought all kinds of clothes over here, and I've wore that 1 pair of jeans the entire time. You rarely wear pants. I mean, when you're going to the rooftop bar and all, sure, put on some pants or some Dockers or something, clean it up a little bit. But for the most part, shorts, kind of the order of the day. I also brought 6 pair of Reef flip-flops. I don't know if you're familiar with the brand, but they're kind of expensive in the US. But when Ross or Marshalls had them for $21, yeah, I just bought them all up, and I'm on my first pair of reefs over here. I didn't really need to bring 6 pair of reefs. So yeah, don't overpack or bring what you'd want to bring, but I certainly wouldn't get in the business of paying an extra $300 for extra luggage because you're afraid you're not going to be able to find a pair of pants over here. Plus, they also have washing machines over here. So like I say, that 1 pair of Levi's at the 2-year mark, it's still going strong. Now, with that being said, I would absolutely bring my favorite dive mask, whatever, if you're particular with a regulator. Over here, the dive equipment in most places around the world, it's in bar as opposed to PSI in the US. I use both. It's not that big a deal, but if you are 100% used to a certain optical mask, that kind of thing, it's certainly going to be cheaper to buy that in the US or bring the one you have than purchase it at a specialty dive shop over here. Now, one mistake I made was towards the end of my career there, I switched from California to Florida and switched driver's license. Now, I had a motorcycle endorsement on my California license. I did not bother doing that in Florida. It was one extra step, so I just got the driver's part. From what I'm told from buddies, and I don't understand the rule, I haven't went to apply for a motorcycle permit here, but from what I'm told, if you already have one from abroad, you can just switch it over. So maybe I should have took the time to do that in Florida. It probably would have been an easier system to me than doing the Thai system. Again, I'll leave that up to you. Maybe do a little bit more research on that if you're going to come right over and want to ride a motorbike legally. Now, here's a mistake I made. I did and I didn't. I took the time to upgrade everything. My passport was only, I think I just renewed it, so I have 9 years left on it when I moved over. But if your passport is expiring in, let's call it 2 years, even if it's 5 years, I would get a replacement when you have nothing but time. And again, I'm a US guy, but I think the same rules would apply to the UK, Australia, Europe, whatever. Say it's damaged, damage it, do whatever you have to do, but get a fresh passport with 10 years on it so you don't have to mess with that over here. I have no idea how to renew my passport. I'm sure I go down to the US Embassy and stand in a line for 8 or 9 hours in the heat. I don't want to deal with it. So upgrade everything, including your credit cards. Make up a white lie, do what you have to do, tell them that the card is lost or it's not working, whatever, but get all new credit cards. I think my latest Chase card they gave me, I want to say it had a 6-year expiration date on it, but what I'm getting at is don't come over here and have a bunch of credit cards that are expiring in the next year. Some banks are easier to work with. Chase, I've had good luck. I had, and I took my own advice and I upgraded all my cards. However, my Chase Sapphire was compromised. I don't know. Somebody tried pumping gas in, I don't even remember where it was, a Tahitian or something, and they had to shut it down and send me a new card. I politely asked them to UPS me the card. I mean, I told them, obviously, you can see I use that card every day, and they did just that. I got the card in 2 days. Now, another card, an Alaska Airlines card through Bank of America, that one I didn't pay as close attention to. To be honest, I forgot I even had it. And it did expire. Now, I called them and said, hey, just mail it to me over here in Thailand. I mean, that's my address, Florida, but I need it sent to me in Thailand. I'm over here on a long-term trip. And they said, no can do. We can only send it to your place of residence. And I argued with them a little bit. I politely asked to speak to a supervisor, and I said, hey, you know, there's plenty of people that this is their primary card, and they might be over here on vacation and they need a new card in an emergency. And she said, we can't do it. Now, I said that on another video, and somebody said, well, that's not true. I had Bank of America send me a card. So the old your miles may vary is going to take account there. But myself, I've had good luck with Chase, but try to avoid any problems. I also had good luck with Navy Credit Union. My ATM card, it must have demagnetized. It would work about half the time in an ATM machine. So I had them send me another one, and I once again politely asked, can you expedite it over? I think they sent it DHL. I've heard bad things. I don't want to put any company down when I don't have personal information, but I heard Wells Fargo isn't the best to deal with if they find out you're living abroad full time. And I certainly wouldn't give them a Thai address. I don't give anybody my Thai address other than I happen to be at this address and I need that card, but my address is in Florida. So I'm going to leave that up to you. I don't know anything about using a Thai address for these companies. I keep my Florida address. And these guys just walked by me. They both had Texas Aggies hats on. Seem to be good buddies. That's probably a good idea to get with a good network of friends over here and encourage each other to get out and exercise each morning. Now, another thing you might want to do, and I didn't do a great job before I moved over, was get all your people, especially older folks in your life, get them set up with, if it's going to be WhatsApp. Now, if you're coming to Thailand, it's all going to be line application. Forget about WhatsApp. Have all your buddies put Line on their phone, because you're going to look at Line every day. WhatsApp, I miss calls, notifications, whatever. It just, to me, it's not as good as using Line. Line is just like WhatsApp. It's just a free app. You can talk, text, whatever. But dial everybody in, especially the older folks. I mean, my mom will be standing there with an iPhone in her hand, and she'll say, well, you know, I don't have a smartphone. I don't understand how all these apps work and all. So dial it in for them. The one thing you have to understand about Line is you can only, and maybe there's a hack to get around it. I don't know how, probably with a different email. You can only have Line on one phone with the same phone number at a time, if that makes sense. So put Line on your mom's phone, your buddies, whatever it's going to be, especially older people. Put Line on their phone. Put Line on your, in my case, US phone, UK phone, Australia, whatever it is, and get it all working. Show them how to use it, you know, do some test calls. Then when you get over here, you're going to want to switch Line over to your Thai number, and it should be an easy fix for you to then get a hold of mom and say, okay, now erase that other number. Hopefully she won't still be trying to get a hold of you at your UK number, because that's not going to work. But you see what I'm getting at. Dial all that in before you go. I've tried to do it from the other side of the world, and it's just not that easy. Now, I don't know if it's a mistake. I kept my US number. It's $50 a month. I know people leave in the comments, hey, there's a $6 options through Mint Mobile and on, but I'm on a military plan with T-Mobile, and from what I'm told, if your US phone does not hit a US cell tower within 2 years, they're supposed to shut it off. I was told that from T-Mobile. I walked into a Verizon, not that I wanted Verizon, but they said similar language. I haven't been back to the US in 2 years. Now, I did a lot of traveling, so my phone has hit Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, on and on and on. So maybe that saved me. But supposedly they put me on this military plan, like I was in the military, it was in the 80s. And he kind of said, well, I think that's good enough. So he might have let me slide. Supposedly my phone is allowed to not hit that tower. I'm over 2 years and it's still working. But what I'm getting at is it's been kind of a pleasure to have that US number. And if it's an older person, now banking, they're not about calling a Thai number. They're going to want to call that US number. So maybe you can handle things through email and all. Again, I don't have that experience, but for me, that's been a pretty good $50 investment each month. Again, maybe I can do it for $6, but then again, the $6 folks might shut you down at the 1 or 2 year mark if they've noticed you haven't hit a US cell tower. But myself, it's real easy for me to tell anybody, just text me, that's free, and I'll call you back on Wi-Fi calling for free. So if they don't want to bother with WhatsApp or Line, it's still free. Now, don't have them call you, or it's going to be whatever it is, 25, 30 cents a minute for them and for you to receive the call. And I get it. There are plenty of travel packages out there. I have them. I have the T-Mobile, whatever it is, 20 cents a minute, free 3G, whatever it is. I get all that. But the last thing you want is your poor 85-year-old aunt to call, and then she gets a $32 phone call on her next bill. Now, I sure don't have a ton of regrets over here. There are a few things I miss. Again, I'm from San Diego, a US guy, so I miss mega stores and discount stores. We have a Ross and Marshalls. I mean, you can go in there and get just name brand items, XYZ, Nike or Under Armour shirt, and it's $9.99. Well, you can get that same Under Armour shirt over here, but it's going to be $49 US. It's certainly not going to be discounted, and it's probably going to be 20% more than in the US. So yeah, I miss wandering around into those stores. I mean, as much as people complain about how expensive things are in the US, and I get it. I want to say eggs are probably twice as much as they were 5 years ago, but there are certain items like in Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, you're not going to find that in Bangkok. You want a pair of Nikes, you go into the Nike store, and maybe twice a year they'll have some major sale where you can get $30 off. And I'm not a huge shopper, and this isn't a major regret, but I do miss Walmart and Target and these kind of stores. You get so spoiled, and maybe this is a US thing. I had a buddy, it was my cousin's good friend. He was a professional chef from, where was he from? New Zealand. And I remember we would walk into a grocery store in the United States and his mind was just blown away. He's like, only in the US can you walk in and there's 27 choices for everything. He said in New Zealand, you're lucky to have 3 different kind of flowers. He said he can walk into any store in the United States and sometimes there are 2 stores right next to each other and they're all going to have different flowers from all over the world and on and on. He said, I don't even understand how they can keep that fresh on the shelves. But with all that being said, if that's where you grew up, I kind of miss that. I kind of miss walking into a store and I need a bicycle pump. I need this certain little cable to go from my GoPro to this battery pack, and I need a roasted chicken, and I want to do it all in one spot in 10 minutes. That's a little harder to come by. I mean, we have Lotus and Big C over here, but if you need a cable for your camera, you need to go to the camera store, and you might need to go to Fortune Town, which is the electronics mall. It's just a few extra steps. It's not that big a deal, and maybe I'm just a little lazy and spoiled as far as I want everything immediately in one place, but it's just not going to be that way in Bangkok. And with that being said, I do live in Bangkok. If you want some kind of specialty, right now there's a Rode microphone out of Australia that I'm trying to get to work with a new piece of equipment, and I need a specialty cable. Well, there's a Rode dealer here in Bangkok, but it's 2 miles away, and I was kind of 2 miles, I mean, but if I lived in Chiang Mai or Hua Hin or whatever, I'd be having to order it from that shop in Bangkok. So at least I have the option to jump on a train and take a little side trip out there and pick up what I need. Is it as convenient as just walking into a Target and, oh, they don't have it? Well, the Walmart right next door does. No, it's not, but it's not that big a deal. Now, I did do this, and I would suggest doing the same. I got a brand new phone. Well, I take that back. I had a brand new phone and a brand new laptop when I moved over, and then I ended up upgrading to the S22 Ultra here in Thailand. My plan was, I'd always shot my videos on a GoPro. Well, GoPros, and I brought a brand new GoPro. So I had 3 GoPros, but they don't work that great in the low light. So I just decided to get this S22 Ultra over here. I, just for the heck of it, I mean, it is what it is cost-wise. I got it at AIS, and I compared the price to what an unlocked phone on Amazon and on would have cost, and it was cheaper. However, it would have took 3 weeks, I think, to get to me, plus there were customs charges. And I have not ordered a lot of things on Amazon. I've heard good and bad things, both online and from folks I know. 2 people told me, one guy said he ordered, I want to say it was 3 pair of Levi's. He supposedly paid customs through Amazon, and it was quite a bit. Like, I'll make it up, call it $45 customs. He received a notice in his mailbox, you need to come to the post office and pay customs. Or it might have even been he needed to go to the airport. I don't know. One buddy had to go to the airport, one had to go to the post office. Both of them had to pay the customs twice, and then they argued it with Amazon and eventually got their money back. But it just seemed like a bit of a hassle. And this is a mistake I made. It's not a major problem, but I'm just throwing it out there. You can do your research and see what works out for you. I kept my Netflix and Amazon Prime. Now the Amazon Prime, if you're unfamiliar, you can get many products delivered free the next day, but you also get the Amazon Video. I want to say I was paying $15 US. I can't really remember. I probably kept it for a year over here just to watch Amazon. Now I could have easily, and in fact I did, canceled the Amazon and just picked up Amazon Video up here. I don't have it right now, but I think it's $5 a month. Same with my Netflix. I kept the US on there just because somebody was sharing my account. Since I got a hold of them and they said, you know what, I haven't even watched that Netflix for like 9 months. So I told them, okay, well, I'm canceling it. And I picked up Netflix over here for 169 baht a month, which is 720p, I think. If you want to go with the full, I guess they do 4K. I'm not sure. Maybe it's 500 baht a month, but I could really care less about that. So I just get the basic package. And I'm not going to consider this a major problem, but I'll just throw it out there. I lived a very simple life. I mean, I had a condo, I had a house, and then I sold all that and I was living on a sailboat. So a very kind of meager existence. It was a beautiful sailboat and a nice marina. So don't get me wrong, I like to live reasonably nice, but it was a small space. And in all my trips over to Bangkok and all, I looked at the price of things and I was 100% committed to just coming over and getting a reasonable small studio, as affordable as possible, saving a ton of money, and just living cheap and using that money for traveling and all. So I'm not going to call this a mistake, but it's real easy to get over here and say, okay, well, the studio's nice, and I'll make up the numbers at $320 a month in this beautiful building. However, for $500 a month, that's not much more. I get the 1 bedroom and it's a little nicer, and for $560 a month, I'm up on the 28th floor, and it never ends. I won't call that a mistake, but it's probably going to happen to you as well. And again, I'm just throwing that out there. If a person is very tight on their planning and their budget and whatever the case might be, I have this amount of money and this amount of money is going to rent, and this is going to food, and I'm going to eat street food 20 times a month, and I'll eat Western food 10 times a month. And yeah, I mean, give yourself some padding on that. Many people say, come up what you think your budget is going to be and then double it. I'm sure you don't have to double it, but I would certainly add 50% to whatever you think your rock bottom budget is going to be. I mean, you have to also factor into that budget teeth, health issues. I'm a relatively healthy guy. I'm out walking 5-10 miles a day, and I don't know how many times I went to the doctor last year. Now, many of this was, or much of it was preventative. So I'll leave it up to you. If you want to get your heart checked out once in a while, or do a colonoscopy, or whatever the case might be, I recommend doing all those things, even if you have to pay cash. Now, maybe you don't have to do it at Bumrungrad, you know, one of the more expensive hospitals in town. But my insurance, the copays are the same, whether I go to Bumrungrad or whatever basic county hospital. Now, one thing at the 2-year mark I'm kind of regretting is 2 years has kind of flown by. I kind of came out of the gate swinging on trying to learn Thai, if nothing else, to be respectful. And I know some words and a little bit of Thai, but am I fluent in Thai? No, I am not. I mean, do you have to be? Not really. Not living in Bangkok or Pattaya or Hua Hin or Chiang Mai. If you're going to be living up in some smaller area of Isan, yes, it'll probably make your life much simpler. But down here in Bangkok, probably the main reason I don't speak more Thai is I just never used it. I would learn some words, learn a sentence, repeat them to my Thai friends. They would laugh at me about, you know, how I was kind of saying it wrong. And then I would do that for a couple of weeks in a row, and then I'd maybe give up on that sentence. So is that an excuse? No. I mean, should I maybe crack down a little harder? Maybe I should, and maybe I will. But is it an absolute necessity? No, it's not. So kind of don't listen to many of the guys you hear online, especially the guys in the Philippines, that they speak English in the Philippines and they only speak Thai in Thailand. That's why I didn't go there. You're going to be just fine if you're not speaking Thai in the major cities in Thailand. Hey, so there you go. I mean, have I did everything correct in living over here in Bangkok in the past 2 years? Of course not. I've made all kinds of smaller mistakes. Have there been huge regrets and things I'm trying to warn you about? Hey, don't let this happen to you. Look what I did moving over here. Not so much. It's all pretty basic. The main thing I'll warn you about is listening to different YouTubers and more so the Facebook guys. I mean, plenty of people right now. The big topic is the tax deal and living here more than 180 days. Well, none of us know what's going to happen. I mean, everybody thinks they do because they're watching different YouTube videos and all. And I'm not saying many of these people that are putting these videos out have agendas, but some do. Some are looking for clicks. I mean, YouTube is a business. It's all about the fancy titles and the Thailand is going to tax you starting tomorrow kind of deal. And half these guys don't know what's going to happen any more than, well, they just announced you're going to get 60 days, starting in 28 hours. And until it happens, just hold your breath and let's see what happens. Again, I don't know what's going to happen on the tax situation. I know what they've said might happen. I know there's double taxation treaties, on and on and on. More than likely, if I had to guess, and I don't, want to be one of these guessers, because somebody out there might say, well, this guy said this was going to happen and, he was wrong. But if I had to guess, it's just going to be one more form at immigration. Fill this out. Did you take it to this Thai tax person that signed off on you've already paid taxes in the US or UK, and whatever the case might be? Call it another service like a visa agent or something. Who knows? Maybe something like that might happen. Maybe it's all totally going to go away, or they're going to push it back for 5 years. We don't know. But if you get busy reading the Facebook comments, some guy living up in his little room in Isan, he's got it all figured out, and he can't wait to call you an idiot because it's very clear in the Tax Thai Guide 101.772. This is exactly how it is, and listen to me. And some of these guys, I don't know. They just have a big need to be correct in life, and they're usually the person that is wrong the most. And I'm not meaning to be all controversial. Let those guys have their fun. Just don't let it bum you out when you're a normal person sitting back trying to do your planning. I mean, I've read the silliest things online. I think I mentioned it in another video, but I have, and what many people have, and what I recommend you get, is a multi-entry visa. If you're going to get a nano for retirement or a nano A, whatever the case might be, get the multi-entry, because if you have to leave the country in a hurry, if there's a death in the family, and I'm not saying you just want to head over to Malaysia for the weekend and you're forgetting about your visa, but there are other issues where you might not be thinking straight, your mother just passed away, whatever the case is, and you're like, I could care less about my visa, I just need to get home. Get that multi-entry, and you can just come and go as you please for the length of the visa. In my case, I think my visa is 1,900 baht, and the multi-entry is 3,200 or 3,400 baht, so it's a little bit of money, but for me, it's worth it. I'm going to Malaysia here soon, and I have 3 more trips planned, so I use my multi-entry. I'm not going to get a single entry every time I take a trip. I'll be doing that once a month, and I'm sure it'll far exceed the 3,000 whatever it is I pay for the year. But one guy on Facebook, he couldn't wait to tell somebody that they were an idiot because a multi-entry is only good for, I don't even know where he came up with this. He said 2 times in the life of the visa can you come and go, which makes 0 sense. You can come and go every day on a multi-entry, yet this guy, he was trying to put somebody down and on and on and on. So just be real careful what you read online, what you hear on YouTube. There are just plenty of people that have opinions, and I don't know, I'll say 30% of them are just absolutely wrong. I mean, for half of last year, they were saying they were going to do an entry tax. It was an entry or an exit tax, something like 330 baht, and people were complaining about that. Oh, well, I'm moving to Cambodia if they're going to charge me 330 baht every time I go through the airport. Well, I got a big surprise for that guy. Every time you buy a plane ticket, there are airport fees. So if you want to call that a coming and going fee, whatever you want to call it, there's fees on the ticket. I know because I travel on miles and points for free. However, you have to pay the landing fees. So when I land in Tokyo, it's whatever it is, $7 to land, $11 to take off. It just is what it is. That's why I avoid going through Heathrow. Even on a free ticket, for whatever reason, Heathrow seems to charge, based on the price of the ticket, your landing fee. I want to say on a business ticket, I was planning to put this itinerary together, and it was $310 to land and $200 and something to take off just for the privilege of touching the runway. So no thank you, Heathrow. But I'm saying those fees are out there just because they're not physically standing there saying hand over 300 baht. Guess what? You're paying those fees anyhow. So again, calm down on the Facebook comments. And here's the dog park just across the way. Now you do have to keep your doggy on a leash, so it's not like Dog Beach in San Diego. Just take him off the leash and let him run crazy in the surf. But it's better than nothing. I know it's seeing eye dogs only in Lumpini Park, the other large park here in the downtown, and even over in Phrom Phong at Benjasiri Park, no dogs allowed. And again, I've said it a couple of times, I am not meaning to sound negative and can you believe these guys are saying this online and all. I'm not saying that in any way. What I am saying is, if there's one guy out there watching these videos who's maybe a little, I don't know, worrisome or higher strung or whatever, and I'm worried, I keep seeing online they're gonna charge my pension 35% and on and on and on. And well, for one thing, I don't even really want to get into this. I mean, Thai, from what I understand, and I don't understand much, they tax like anywhere else in the world. X amount from $0 to whatever dollars is no tax. And then from this to that is, call it 5%. From here to there, 12%. From here to there, 20%. And it maxes out at 35%. Well, somewhere along the line, people started saying, I guess the max is 35%, that you know, let's assume higher earning people will pay. People started saying online that your entire $1,000 Social Security check will be double taxed at 35%. And that just doesn't make any sense at all. But that is what is floating around online. And that's what I'm trying to protect you from, I guess, is just put all that stuff to the side. And I was the same way. Before I moved over here, I'm like, well, that guy must know what he's talking about. He's lived in Thailand 7 years. He keeps telling me that. He's an expert. Oh, I will throw this out at the very end. A couple of people have asked me in the comments, do I regret not buying a condo, kind of wasting money on rent for the past couple of years? No, not at all. Again, if I was thinking like a California guy and I need to get the best deal and buy immediately and on, I would have bought a condo up in On Nut. And I'd still be living up in On Nut, kind of kicking myself that, man, I wish I would have spent whatever the number is, an extra $15,000 to live down in Phrom Phong. Again, I'm making up the numbers. But no, I don't regret my choice to spend $500 a month in rent. I mean, I guess you can call it wasting money on rent. I mean, sure, I'm all about owning a place. I'm just not in a big hurry to do so over here in Thailand. Might that change tomorrow? I don't know. I'm not really worried about tomorrow. I'm just kind of living for today. Hey, so there you go. Thank you so much. It's going on 7:10. Thanks for following along this little run around Benjasiri Park on this Wednesday morning. There will be more videos to come. We'll see you later from my favorite city in the world, Bangkok, Thailand.